Welcome to another CEO interview. I'm joined by Markus Frind, the CEO and founder of PlentyofFish. Thanks for the time for interviewing, Markus.
Thanks for having me.
So I'd like to ask you first of all. I know you've built more of an interest in events. How are the events working out for you?
They've been working out great for the past 10 years now. I mean, we host 500 or 4 to 500 events a month with 28 to 30,000 people a month showing up. So they've been doing great for the last 10 years, and I guess Match is now finally coming on board and hosting events as well.
How's your offering a little different from Match?
Well, all our events are user driven. So users create the events, users promote the events on the site, and then people show up. So it's all user generated, whereas theirs is more top down, and they plan events and charge people to attend.
Isn't that a little bit more risky though?
I would say theirs is more risky. It's much easier to hold free events because people just, they pick a bar, they pick a restaurant to show up at, and everyone just shows up and talks to each other and meets up. So from a business point of view, it's basically users advertising the site for free for us.
Gotcha. So in terms of acquisitions, what are you looking for these days? Because I think you had, what was the budget? You had a $10 million fund that you put to the side for acquisitions. What's the ideal profile of a company at this stage that you're looking for?
I think it was more like 30 million we wanted to invest, but there just isn't much out there. So we're looking for a company that has at least $1 million or more in revenues, is kind of settled in, that the business model is fixed. Because as you know, there's tens of thousands of companies in the dating space, and the vast majority of them never get to $1 million in revenues because they're targeting a niche market, or there's something that just won't scale. So we're looking for something that has a few million in revenues. If we threw a bunch of users at it or our traffic, it could massively grow. And that's sort of what we're looking for.
So more mobile, skewing more towards mobile, do you think?
Well, certainly the vast majority of what's happening now is mobile. The web is kind of going the way of the dinosaur.
So, I can't help thinking, looking at what Match or IAC has done with Tinder, do you think that is with PlentyofFish in mind? Because I can't help thinking that PlentyofFish, your app is a direct threat for Match.com. So their ultimate response would be to back a free app that really focuses on mobile. It seems like that's the soft underbelly, right? That's their soft underbelly that you're essentially shooting for. So how much of a threat is Tinder, and what do you think their next move will be?
Yeah, I don't think they have that much foresight. There's millions of companies, or thousands of companies, that start and go nowhere. This one just happened to go somewhere. It's essentially the modern version of Hot or Not.
Yeah.
But the intention to date, the intention to meet up, the amount of details in the profiles just aren't there. So it's not like, although Tinder is growing in leaps and bounds, it's not like it's affecting traffic of existing dating sites. So if there was an impact, we would have already seen it. And we're certainly not seeing it. I think it's just bringing more people to the category.
Gotcha. Do you think they'll launch a site maybe? Do you think there'll be a Tinder.com? Because that's the missing piece, really, isn't it? You've got Plentyoffish online, and you've got the app, and the two work beautifully together. They don't. They have the app, and that's it. And it seems like a phishing mechanism, really, but where's the website? They're not sending traffic to Match yet.
Well, for us, if 95% of our users, or it's between 90 and 95% in every country under the age of 35 is using a mobile phone, who cares about a website?
Yeah. So, so how about the high end of the market? You've hung your hat on being free and freemium, but aren't you leaving money on the table? Isn't there a whole other market at the high end of people that don't particularly want to spend so much time, but want to have the result of going on dates with compatible people? Are you? Is that on your radar? Is that something that you'll be looking to in the future?
Well, we'll see what happens with eHarmony. They had a lot of restructuring, a lot of turmoil in the last year and a half, 2 years. But certainly the high end of the market, it's dramatically shrunk. As you remember, the personality testing or the marriage-minded stuff used to be 23, 24% of internet dating traffic, and it's down around 4 or 5% now. So we'll see how that plays out.
We do have eval.
I think because everything is just moving mobile, everything's getting more casual, not more serious.
Gotcha. And is that a sign of the times? Do you think that's going to continue, or do you think that could open up an opportunity?
Well, mobile is mostly about impulsiveness, not about thinking and sitting down and planning out exactly what you want or looking for exactly the right person. So it's a function of the technology, not of the times.
So let's talk about mobile. I want to ask you what we talked before. I think you're at 70% of your overall traffic was on mobile. What does it stand at this stage?
It's probably around 85%, somewhere in there.
85%. Wow.
It grows a percent a week, or it grows a percent a week still, I believe.
And I hear Zeus is making close to half their revenues or more on mobile now. How does that compare with Plenty of Fish in terms of revenues? The eyeballs are on mobile. How is it generating revenue in comparison?
Well, we haven't done a lot of revenue-driven features on the apps yet, so we're nowhere near where they are. I think they're at 41% from their filing. No, we're behind the times in terms of monetization, but we just focus mostly on getting users and retaining them.
Gotcha. Was developing an app for iOS less challenging than for Android, ultimately?
iOS is far more challenging for us.
Why?
There's just more things that can go wrong. I don't know. We just really have very few problems with our Android app, and it's always the iPhone app that we have all these issues with. And the fact that iPhone is not growing as fast as Android.
And if you were going to give some advice to a startup and they were considering iOS versus Android, which would you drive them towards? Which would you advise them they start with?
Well, I think that for most dating sites, we make about equivalent amounts of money from users. It doesn't matter if they're on Android or iPhone. And as far as I know, that applies to all the major players.
Doesn't iOS make more money though? From what you've observed, the behaviour is a little different. And would you say iOS makes more money or Android?
I'd say probably Android makes a little more money because you don't have to pay Google the 30% that you have to pay Apple.
Gotcha. So how about wearable computing? I mean, I think to some extent, Google Glass, for example. Do you have plans for a Google Glass app?
We have a Google Glass that we have around the office here, but no plans for an app yet. It's actually very small, very limiting. So I think maybe in a year or two, when better versions come along or more interesting. Facial recognition is banned. A lot of stuff is just banned. So and until there's a wide install base, until people are using it, we're not going to play with it.
And what's your thoughts on wearable computing in general? Do you think there's a grand scenario where it does improve the iDating experience in the next 5-10 years?
There'd have to be a killer use case, and as soon as you have that one, then it becomes ubiquitous. Without a killer use case, I can't see it getting that large.
Gotcha.
And its convenience, ease of use, the technology is still, I think, 3-4 years away from being, the next big thing. It's like mobile dating was the next big thing for the last 15 years. It's only in the last 5 years that it's actually gone anywhere.
So, thank you very much, Markus. You're the CEO and founder of Plenty of Fish. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.